Team Fortress 2 is a first-person shooter developed by Valve and released on the 10th of October 2007. Team Fortress 2 is a game within the Team Fortress franchise. It is free to play and available on Steam. Today, I'm going to be talking about the legacy of Team Fortress 2 and what it's done to change the first-person gaming landscape for the modern day. The game is well over 10 years old, so it's had plenty of time to mature and develop over these years. It has a very unique gameplay that's one of a kind and yet has been copied by many other games. It's inspired a whole genre of hero-based shooters and is still being developed on to this day. This is my look back on what is Team Fortress 2. After the success of Team Fortress Classic, a sequel was decided to be made. Fun fact about this, Team Fortress 2 took roughly 9 years to be developed, and that is a long time for a game to be developed. And it had many versions that's been changed over the years. Earliest being Team Fortress Brotherhood, that was shown off at E3. This game took much more of a realistic feel, having characters dressed in appropriate time for the modern day setting, more realistic weapons, more realistic map feel overall. But later, this was scrapped. We got the announcement of Team Fortress Invasion that would have humans fight aliens instead. But some hackers got their hands on the files and well, Valve weren't very happy and completely scrapped the game as well. Yet some hackers has managed to rebuild this game from the ground up, and there's plenty of functioning versions. After this, there wasn't much talk for Team Fortress 2. Then all of a sudden, a trailer was dropped. Fresh new Team Fortress 2. And well, the rest is history. The game came out in 2007 to critical acclaim all around. Team Fortress 2 is nothing like a common shooter. It doesn't just have a singular game mode where two teams shoot each other for a length of time and whatever team has the most kills win. Team Fortress 2 actually has 5 core gameplays, being King of the Hill, Payload, Capture the Intelligence, Control Point, and Attack and Defend. Most of these game modes are self-titled. King of the Hill, both teams rush a certain point in the map, whatever team has it for the longest win. Payload, one team must push a payload across the map while the other team must stop them from getting to points. Capture the Intelligence is basically capture the flag. Control Point, one team must take over these control points across the maps and the other team must defend them. And Attack and Defend is the same as Control Point, except both teams are trying to capture intelligence and defend at the same time. Now, there are extra game modes within. These are the alternative ones. These include Double Payload, where both teams have to push 2 payloads simultaneously. There's a medieval themed one, and many other alternative game modes. Ones that have you powered up, ones that allow you to use grapplers, and all sorts of miniature versions. All these game modes have multiple maps. In total, the game has 76 playable maps, and that's a lot of maps. As well as those, there are actually more team-oriented ones called Man vs Machine, where it's a wave-based shooter where you fight machines that come in on waves to destroy something. This game mode has more to do with the lore and is something fun and unique to do on the side. TF2 consists of 2 teams, blue and red. Each team consists of 12 players on each team, so as you can guess, they are quite large. The colours actually have to do something with the lore, the story behind it being 2 brothers trying to conquer the same land that their father left, and both hire mercenaries being colour blue and red, and they fight each other. The gist of the story that goes on. The controls for the game are fairly primal, as there is no sprint button at all. There is walk, jump, crouch. That's it. Once you die, there is a 15-second cooldown when you die, and as well there are heals and ammo boxes scattered across the maps for you to recharge. Team Fortress 2 would never have been Team Fortress 2 without the iconic 9 mercenaries. Scout, Soldier, Heavy, Pyro, Demoman, Engineer, Medic, Spy, and Sniper. These 9 characters have been very iconic within the gaming sphere, and even popping up in other games in themselves, with the Heavy popping up in a card game. It's what makes Team Fortress 2 Team Fortress 2, is how wonderful these characters are designed, played, and just everything is so good. One of the other things I love about Team Fortress, about these characters, how expressive they are and how varied they become. Not just on their character design and the backstory behind them, but the way you play them. Some characters, by switching simple items, can change the way you completely play them. As well, I love the fact there's not just a singular character that just has like a machine gun. None of them really have that. They all have very unique weapons that identify them as that, and you have to play them quite differently to what you would play in a regular FPS, as you have to think a bit differently on the way they move. TF2 have a lot of maps that vary between each game mode. Each game mode has a handful of maps that are only seen within that game mode and change over time. When you finish a game, you're able to choose as a group what map you would like to play next. Whatever one gets the most votes is the one you play next. You play 3 rounds of it and then you get to choose the next one. TF2 map designs, in my opinion, are incredibly built, as it's all built from the Source engine. Not only just they look nice and have fun ways to play them on each game, I think the thing that really makes Team Fortress maps stand out is its uncanny valley feel to it. Something about the maps is so empty, as a lot of them are set in industrial areas or small farm towns where you wouldn't really see regular houses and regular cars and people. Feel to it that feels like something's watching you but nothing's there. I think it really adds to it with the cartoony look that the game has. Now, there are a lot of popular maps within Team Fortress 2, and a lot of them have gone on to become kinda jokes within the community on how popular they are to play with. 2 Fort is basically the beginner map for everyone, as it's got a simple one-on-one design that everyone plays. And a lot of maps can get fairly complicated and kind of crazy, having secret areas and all sorts of all this crazy stuff that just makes them so great to play, in my opinion. Within the gaming community itself, Team Fortress 2 has become very iconic for its cosmetical items that you can attach to your characters. Within weapons, you can also manipulate the cosmetics that your characters wear. You have 3 slots, and with those you can add all sorts of things to your characters: hats, sunglasses, pants, shirts, plushie of a unicorn that follows you and makes everything turn rainbow. It's fairly crazy, but it is fairly notorious for the amount of cosmetics it can has and the effects of it. In 2012, the Manco update dropped that allowed you to buy in-app purchases within the game. More or less, this was Steam testing the waters of what they could get with their own marketplace. And well, it's ginormous. Team Fortress 2 has this whole second community of people that basically will switch items for cosmetic for real money. Basically, the way to get cosmetics is you need to get the crates from playing the in-game game and then buy keys to open them. Keys are very valuable, as you can't just get a key from playing it, you have to buy it. So there's this whole backlog marketplace of people selling items, buying items, selling more and selling. And these are expensive. Some have gone from tens of thousands of dollars for a virtual hat. And it led into the CSGO skin label that has even gotten bigger. It's massive with the amount of skins and gun stuff being sold there. Yet, it's not always for the best. It is fairly scammy what Steam have done with TF2, and TF2 is probably the first game to really have the loot crate incidents, as it's kind of just been swept under since the game's free to play now. But really the only way to get cosmetics is to buy those loot crates, and you don't know if you'll get anything good or not. You're better off buying on the second place market, and I feel like it's really swept under. We're not talked much about how kind of greedy that action is. The other things that the community does, otherwise than making maps, is make short films, as Valve has given access to all the models and maps on the Source filmmaking that basically allows people to create their own Team Fortress 2 short films. And these have gotten really unique and really good. And if you're a fan, I recommend checking them out because they're always unique and great to look. Team Fortress 2 has a great community from the people who made it and the fans of the game. One of the unique things about TF2 is within its main game form, there's a section to go online and browse community-made servers. These servers include from ones for getting loot, ones for just fun mayhem, ones for custom games, and all sorts of different stuff. One of the most popular custom games is a zombie one, where you have medics hunt down engineers and try to kill them. These are all incredibly fun. Even Valve themselves have been very faithful to the TF2 community through a lot of the stuff they put in. One of my favorites being that there's a comic strip for the game, and it's really good and in detail, and if you're a fan of the games, I highly recommend reading them, as they are really good. The TF2 community has shown that even though this game is fairly old, they still care about it deeply, from modding it, adding fun maps, changing how the game's played, and somewhat even caring about it more than Valve themselves. I'm happy to say that this is a really great community. Team Fortress 2 has definitely influenced the gaming genre overall. One of the earliest games to go from pay to free to play, influenced a whole genre of hero-based shooters like Overwatch, Apex, Valorant, R6. First one to really have in-app purchases and in-game purchases that allowed Steam to balance with what they could get away with. One of the first big online games for Steam themselves, allowed them to value what they could get with CSGO and other games. I hope you've enjoyed my video as much as I did. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all.